Alright guys, so as you know, whilst I'm here, it's time for another exciting video. And if you see what the market has been doing just this past week, you see it's been some crazy moves, right? I made some analysis on BTC, USD, SEK, USD, CHF, Euro USD. The greater number of the analysis we were spot on. BTC USD didn't go as I would like it, but it's a game of probabilities, and then we go on again. Just because I was wrong in one doesn't mean I'm stopping, I'm quitting, it doesn't mean I'm bringing you, I've stopped bringing you guys good information. So today I'm here again, end of the week, to give you my view on the markets, where I think the markets will go in the next week or couple of weeks, and then how we can take advantage of the opportunities that the markets will give us. And so currently I'm on DXY. I'm on DXY on the monthly chart. Okay, and on the DXY we can see that we have this high to this low, right, which is the original consolidation, the original dealing range, right? The original dealing range. So this low, right, to this side, because we've swept liquidity to the left side of here, we've swept liquidity over here as well, right? Great. And so looking at where price is at currently, we see that price has tapped into this fair value gap and into this tiny order block. We also have this inverse fair value gap right here. So we've got quite a number of confluences just at the 50% of the dealing range. Okay, so we've got a lot of confluences here, and currently we can see that price is respecting this order block, the fair value gap, the inverse fair value gap, which how do I put it, which gives us an idea that we could be having some moves to the upside, right? Which means we could be having some moves to the upside, right? Good. And so to elaborate further, let me just move on to the weekly and then the daily, so that we get how things are moving, or things could play out. So inside that order block and at the 50%, which we just looked at in the monthly, you see that we have this fair value gap right here. We've got these candles, 1 2 3 4, these down close candles, 4 candles. Those form the order block from the monthly, right? And then we've tapped into that and the 50%, and we see that we are having some retracement to the upside. Price has already tapped into this bearish fair value gap, right? But it did not fill it completely. Okay, price did not fill that gap completely, so we've got the remainder of this gap left to fill. You have the remainder of this gap to fill. Let me just get that exactly. Great, we've got the remainder of this gap to fill. So this is what I'm looking at, that we come up in here, fill this, we've got this order block here as well, right? And then from there you could potentially see price go down, because on the overall I'm seeing the monthly continuing, breaking through this level, the 50%, and then continuing downwards to deeper discount, right? To deeper discount. Okay, so that is how I see price, what I see price, and I'm predicting price to do, right? And so that is it. We go in here, fill it, tap into the order block possibly, and then we run down to the 25 level, DRT level, and then here clearing this relatively equal lows right here, this relatively equal lows that exists right here. Okay, so that is what I see, creating this relatively equal lows. And then when we go into the daily, we can see that on the daily, let me just enlarging it so that it becomes clearer. On the daily, this is the weekly fair value gap that we are left to fill. We have this imbalance, right here. We have this here, and then we have the order block here as well, and then to the extreme we have this fair value gap and then bearish order block. And so this is where I want to see price. So I want to see price disrespect this volume imbalance, ride it up to the top, and then okay, so just getting this real quick. Good. So I want to see price trade through this volume imbalance, find support here, and then we trade into these regions right here, this order block here, and then potentially from there we see price drop to the downside, right? We see price drop here into deeper discount. Okay, so that is the idea with DXY. So if we are potentially looking at buys on or the bulls taking the charge on DXY, then it will mean that for GU and EU we would expect some sells, right? Because they've been very bullish, right? And then GU and EU just tapped, into the specific places we marked on the chart, on the weekly chart, right? We marked on the weekly chart. And so just to add confluences, right? Just to add confluences to this, we could as well draw some simple support and resistance lines or levels, if I should put it, to give us more clarity. So here we've got some clean support and resistance levels, right? Okay, that's great. We've got this as well, right? And so you see that this order block, fair value gap, inverse fair value gap, also come at a very important level, which is what? The monthly support level, right? The monthly support level where we are anticipating some buys, okay, before we see some potential sells, right? So when we go into the weekly, okay, when we go into the weekly, we can see this level of sell pressure, right? Resistance, this level of resistance. You can see this level of resistance here as well, okay? This level of resistance, great. And so you see support, resistance, support, we didn't really get here, right? So we had support here, resistance to the side, support here, resistance, support, resistance. We broke through, came in here, right? Where exactly did we go? You can see this as reference, tapping into it, not getting into this bearish order block, tapping into this one, running down, breaking through this level of resistance. So when price moves up there, what would anticipate is what? Support. And then we see that just at that level as well, we have this bearish order block in confluence with this bearish fair value gap. Then when we move into the daily to get things clearer, we see that we've also got this fair value gap, and then the order block. That's why I say I want to see price trade up here, go up there in this region, expect some sales down and into the deeper discounts, right? And so with this, we would anticipate that EU, GU would also have some sales before we resume with the buys. And so let's just go into that. And so let's start with EU. Where is it? Yeah, where is it? Okay, so now we are on EU, then EU as well. Let me start with the monthly time frame. Let me clear everything here and then we start. Okay, I want to make these videos short and concise, right? And so with EU, in the previous videos, right, if you haven't watched it, check them out. You see the precision in price action, right? So we've tapped into this bullish order block, which was in extreme discount, right, with the 25 DRT, and then I was expecting that price would run up, clear this liquidity here, and then we continue into the higher time frame, into premium, right? And so on the weekly, exactly, this is what we had on the weekly. And I did mention that I wanted to see price run into this fair value gap, this weekly fair value gap, and that is exactly where we are seeing resistance at the moment. So we see that price trades through the 50%. Let me draw the range on it quickly, and then we can get it done and through. I'm rushing through this because I don't want the video to be too long. So you see we displaced through the 50% of the dealing range, and then right to the left side of that we had this fair value gap with disrespected to the upside. Yeah, that's the word I wanted. To the upside, this, okay, just above the 50%. And so we found support inside of that, and then we ran above, running into what this this bearish fair value gap coupled with the order block on the weekly time frame. And so now that we have that established, let me clear all these markings so that we have a clean chart. Okay, exactly, so that we have a clean chart. And so now that we are here, so on euro, on the daily, because I'm looking for higher prices on DXY, it is only ideal that I look for sales on this. And then when you look at this place, we can mark this swing high here, right? We can mark this swing high and then mark the swing low right here, okay? And then it wouldn't take rocket science for you to see that this part of the range is in discount. And so ideally what I would like to see is for price to run through this level, right? Fill these imbalances, this imbalance where there was no match trade, where there was no sell side delivered. Great, that's the term also, where there was no sell side delivered, right? Run into that, rebalance these imbalances. Then we've got this 1, 2, 3 consecutively down closed candles which form the order block, and then from here we can see price Euro USD trade to the upside again. So that is what I'm anticipating on this one. Exactly. So like I said, you do not need anyone to tell you that this part of the range will be in discount, and as you can see, it matches exactly with the 25 DRT level. Okay, so that's what we have right here. Okay, so what I want to see is for price trade. So currently from that that bearish fair value gap and bearish order block, you'll see that price is retracing to the downside. So what I would want to see is for proper confirmation is that price breaks through this 75 DRT gap, is on the safer side, the DRT level. Yeah, so this is the 75 DRT level. Oh, yeah, good. This is 75 DRT level. So price breaks through. When prices breaks through this level and leaves a fair value gap, and then we have this confluence of this inverse fair value gap, then I will have much confidence in price retracing down to the retracing into deeper levels of discount before making any attempts to make to return on the buys, to return with the buys. Okay, so with that, I'll be waiting for price to break this level. Once it breaks this level, I will have more confidence in shorting Euro USD down into this level. So with this said, let's just run into GBP USD and then finish with that as well. Okay, so let's get our chart well. So let me take all of these off, and then we move on. Good. And so similar to Euro USD on the weekly time frame, we see that price has done what? Tapped into this inverse fair value gap in the extreme of it, and then that is where we are seeing price reduce, price retrace, give the retracement. So go into the daily, we see that price has disrespected this fair value gap, right? Price has disrespected this fair value gap. You see these places where there was no rebalance or sell side delivered. There was no sell side delivered, only buy side. So we want price to, or want this price to come down, rebalance these places. We have this order block here, and then from there we can see price trade, just like we have on Euro USD. So I've gone through much of the greater part of this, right? And so you can have all of that from the other videos, you can watch there. Then you can see that over here it aligns with the 50%, right? So what we want to see is price draw down into this level, and then you see with GU is more willing, is giving signs of being more willing to drop into the 50% before we continue with the buys. Okay, so before we continue with the buys, so this is it. Okay, so with GU and Euro USD, what I'm looking for is what? Sells, because I'm bullish on the dollar index, because I'm bullish on the dollar index. And then when we try to do some little bit of support and resistance, it's something I'm adding to my trading as Confluence, because sometimes that's what gives me much clarity in these markets. So here you see this level, also here this on the monthly. These are the levels I would like to mark on the monthly, right? And then on the weekly I see this level, which is quite good for me, right? And then you see that level, weekly level, also maps onto or matches exactly with this bearish fair value gap and then the bearish order block. And so usually when I see something like this, a key resistance level or key support level matching with PD array, that usually gives a good setup, So here, well, based on support and resistance, we could say price is going to move from here to there, right? Because we could see that we are kind of in a ranging market. So from here to there, support, resistance to support, then yeah, to support, but we didn't really get there. Came back to support, moved to resistance, broke through, came into that again, came into what? Support. We've run to resistance, and so ideally it will be that we trade all the way here. But if we are bullish, overall bullish, right? I'm not saying it's not going to sell. I'm actually anticipating that the British pound will sell, but I'm not expecting it to sell all the way to this place before it starts making move to the upside. It wouldn't make sense. I'm expecting it to hold within this region, as I've already explained, and in the inside the order block before we continue with the buys, because it wouldn't make sense for price to move all the way to this level of resistance, or sorry, this level of support before we move all the way up again, right? So I would want to see price to hold firm inside this region, right, where we have the order block and this buy side inefficiencies, right, before we start going up. And then when we break above this and have a retest, then we are going all the way to this side, right? Great. And so this is just the analysis on EU, GBP USD, Euro USD, and then the dollar index. I do not want to add any more pairs to make this, lengthy, right? So I'll make separate videos on the rest and then put them out here for you to see for yourselves. Okay, so guys, if you like the way I analyze the market, I simplify things here for you, it helps you, get clarity on the market. Please like, subscribe, share, help me grow this channel, because we'll be doing massive things on this channel, right, as we grow. So thank you, and see you in another video.